Hey everyone, this week I have a very special episode. At PAX, I got to interview David Brevik, the president of Skystone Games and the creator of Diablo. And we talked about his career, some advice he gave to people in the industry or people that are looking to get into the industry. And we talk about some of the games that Skystone brought to PAX. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. This episode of the Gamerheads Podcast is brought to you by Seven Bridges Premium Gourmet Yum Yum Sauce. Enhance every bite with our savory blends of flavors, perfect for meats, vegetables, and crispy treats. Whether you're dipping, drizzling, marinating, grilling, roasting, or snacking, Seven Bridges Yum Yum Sauce takes your culinary experience to the next level. Get yours today and make every meal a gourmet delight.
Hi, I'm Celia Schilling from Yacht Club Games.
Hey, this is James from Megacat Studios.
Hey folks, this is Matt, aka Stormageddon from Reignite and the Fun and Games Podcast.
This is Stephanie from the Boss Rush Podcast and the Boss Rush Network.
Hey, this is Mark and Keon from Bonte Avond.
Hey, this is Sebastian with the ProNerdReport.com and the Single Player Experience Podcast.
Hi, this is Chris.
Mike.
And Garrett from Daylight Basement Studio.
Hey, this is Baron J67 from Level 1 Gaming.
Hi, I'm Jacob McCourt from the Left Behind Game Club, Crossplay Conversations, and Video Game Trivia.
Hey, this is Todd Mitchell from Code Right Play.
Salutations, this is Mike Carroll from Stroll Art.
Hey, this is Jeff Moonen from Fun and Games Podcast.
What's good, y'all? This is Adam from Respawn Aimfire.
Hey, this is Patrick from the Backlog Odyssey.
Hey, this is Rune from Runic Codes.
Hi, this is Andrew from Spalato Bros.
Hi everyone, Jill Grote here from the Indie Informer.
Hello, this is the Crypt Master, and you're listening to Roger You're listening to Roger on the Gamerheads Podcast.
Here I am at PAX with David Brevik, the president of Skystone Games, and we talked about this creator of Diablo.
That's right.
One of the reasons I almost dropped out of college. So thank you so much for taking your time and meeting with me and talking about what you have to offer at Skystone Games.
Yeah, sure. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So before we get into Skystone Games and what you're all having here and like some of the showings that you have, I want to know what got you into gaming. What made you join this industry and inspired you to join the industry?
Yeah, it was a lot of things, but this is really dating myself. But in 1975, my dad brought home a Pong machine, which was Atari made a device that played the game Pong that you could hook up to your TV. And that was my very first video game I played. And,
Me too.
And
Me too.
I was in love. And then, I got an Atari 2600. My dad was able to afford to get us an Apple II Plus, and when I got an Apple II Plus, then I taught myself how to program. Yeah. And I did that I really wanted to play games, and I would buy these magazines, and they would have program listings for games in them, and I would type them in. And so I typed so many of these in that I taught myself how to program by doing that. So the passion really came from there. And then probably sometime in the early 80s, 82 or so, I was looking through a magazine and saw that there was an interview with Richard Garriott, and he had made $100,000 making a game or whatever. And I was like, oh my God, you can make a living doing this. Wait a second, I know what I want to do with my life. And then I never look back, and that's all I've ever wanted to do.
That's awesome. That's awesome. It's funny because that's my first machine as well, was the Pong machine.
Yeah,
and when I tell people that, they're like, there was a Pong machine? Yes, there was.
Yes, it was.
And I feel like I could have gone into the esports with Pong, but my parents are like, no, that's not even a thing. So
that was terrible.
I wasn't great either, but I had this vision that I was really good. And my memory is very hazy, so maybe I don't remember.
Through the rose-colored glasses, that was awesome.
That was really good. There wasn't many people that played at the time either, right?
So, limited pool size.
Yes, exactly.
There are dozens of us.
There are dozens of us because it's funny because we talked about this and we talked about your love for D&D as well. Like at the time, that wasn't something that was, that was kind of I don't want to say frowned upon, but like if you play D&D, you're like, those people.
Weird.
Yeah, you're one of those people. Yeah.
Video games, D&D, all that stuff was weird.
Yeah. I just started
nerdy. I mean, I was the outcast in high school, right?
Me
because
too.
It's like it was just such a nerdy thing to be doing. Or whatever.
Yes.
I spent all my time in the computer lab, and people just thought I was really strange.
Yeah. But now look at us, right? Yeah.
Different tale now.
Yeah, that's right. So one of the things that I wanted to ask, since you've been in the industry for a while, what do you think is the biggest positive change in the industry?
I think the biggest positive change is really with the advent of things like engines and digital distribution and things like that, there has been an explosion of games and people that are able to make games, and in regions where we had not heard from before, where we get a different voice and a different perspective and a different kind of view of the world through their culture or whatever, that really, resonates with different groups. And so seeing different types of games that have different kind of influences and stuff from a world perspective has really been, I think, a great positive change in the industry.
I love that because I do feel like through games, we get to see more of the cultures that we may not have experienced before, right? And live, I don't want to say vicariously, but almost vicariously through other people's experiences and experience something for us too. Because I feel like that's something games can do that really no other medium can do as well as games can. So, nice. So tell us about Skystone lineup of games. What do you have here?
So we have several games. Skystone is a publishing company that I started with my partner Bill Wang in 2020, so about 5 years ago now.
Right during the pandemic.
Right before the pandemic. Right before. It may have been 3,000 years ago. It may be 5 years ago. But it was like right as it was like March we started or whatever. It was like right as the kind of lockdown and the whole thing started happening. But we were able to secure some funding and start the company that summer and sign games and publish them, and it's been going really well. And we kind of have branched out from just doing indie stuff into more, I'd say, like AA, AAA, whatever kind of stepping direction you want to go there, as well as some mobile titles and stuff like that. And so we're kind of run the gamut in terms of the types of products that we do. We still are kind of focused on our indie stuff. There's a lot of indie things. We just had a game called Tiny Bookshop that released that's been really popular. And then we have two other games that we're showing here at PAX with kind of our indie group, which is Arcane Eats and Black Jacket. Arcane Eats is like a deck builder, but you feed the customers or whatever at this diner. You're a owner of a restaurant, and it's fantasy based and stuff like that. You're feeding goblins and ogres and stuff. And then Black Jacket, which is a kind of blackjack balatro that is, but you play for like coins for your soul and stuff. So it's got kind of a real dark element to it, a real dark theme. And then we're on the other side of the booth, we're publishing things like Mistfall Hunter, which is a really big game and large budget and stuff like that. And we were privileged enough to kind of come into an agreement to publish that here in the U.S. So we're excited about that.
Yeah, that's awesome. I have not seen Arcane Eats yet. I mean, I saw it on the floor, but I haven't played it yet. So it's one of the games I want to stop by and check in Mistfall Hunter later today.
Awesome,
so,
great. We'll have a good time.
Thanks. What advice would you give somebody that is looking maybe to build a game or start or like do an indie game themselves, or maybe are in the indie game industry? What kind of advice would you give to somebody?
Just realize that it's hyper competitive right now. It is just really, really difficult. So set your expectations low, especially for your kind of starting projects. Seek advice from anybody that is willing to kind of give it to you. Make sure you're doing a bunch of research on where this advice is coming from. If you're getting a lot of advice from, this is going to sound kind of disparaging, but from YouTube people that have never made a game in their life or published anything in their life, that's very different than somebody that actually has made games and published them and has the real experience that maybe is not making YouTube videos. And so, I think that that's actually one of the benefits of this publishing company that I'm president of, is that that's one of the things that differentiates us from the crowd, is that I've had a long career and done everything from my own project where I did everything to giant AAA projects. So I've seen it all. And so I'm here as a resource to our indie developers to give them feedback, give them advice, give them whatever it is they need, technical advice, or like how to do a specific thing, or fill out a form on Xbox, or whatever it is. I can, production problem. Oh, they need an animator. I know a lot of people, kind of thing. So I think that really helps a lot, because I've been through the trenches. I can talk to them about what it's like, and give them advice and guidance if they need it, especially younger developers.
Yeah. Well, this actually leads really nice into my next question. If you could go back in time and give yourself a piece of advice, what would that advice be?
Well, I mean, directly related to games, that might be different than, because my actual advice would have been, this is a reference to in 2016, I think I did a GDC talk on Diablo. I think it was the 20th anniversary of Diablo. I did a GDC talk. You can see the YouTube video. Anyway, in that, I was talking about being a bad businessman, and we were, this was way back in the 90s, and we know the person that invented Hotmail. And he was going to give us 10% of the company to use a back office that wasn't being used, and we said no. And so that would have been, if I go back and give myself advice, it's take the 10% of Hotmail, because that turns into Microsoft stock real soon. And Microsoft stock pre-Windows 95 is really awesome. So that's my number one piece of advice to my younger self. But in terms of games, I don't really have much advice for myself. I'm super happy with the way that my career has gone, and even sometimes, making the mistakes, learning from those mistakes, I think is really important. And so there isn't really anything that stands out, because it's all about the passion of actually making games. I'm still passionate after all these years, so I have done something right, at least.
Yeah. That's awesome. My last question for you is, if you had a magic wand and you could change one thing about the industry, what would be the one thing you would change?
Man, that is tough. Like, you could say something like, oh, I don't want AI to happen because I'm worried about artists and things like that and people stealing properties. But I think unfortunately, AI is kind of inevitable. And so I don't know if you're really going to win that fight, or if there's really some way to stop it. So, I wish there weren't, it wasn't so competitive, but then we don't get a lot of the cool games that you wouldn't expect to get, or hear voices that you wouldn't normally hear. So there's a lot about it that we're in the boat that we're in. I think that maybe I wish that, and I understand why it is. I understand that, in a giant company with AAA budgets and stuff, you're risk averse, right? Because there's so much money on the line. But I'd love for those companies to make kind of some riskier moves. Not necessarily make AAA games, maybe something like that is a little bit more risky, that's in a kind of a AAA or AA space or something like that. I'd like to see smaller budget, riskier titles.
Yeah. I mean, I think that, do you think Diablo would have been made in this industry with the risk aversion?
No, I don't think so. In fact, it almost didn't get made. We got rejected pitching Diablo over and over again. We got rejected 20 times from publishers before somebody finally said yes. And that was because the common knowledge at the time was RPGs are dead. And so, so that was like, RPGs are just not selling, so we're just not going to fund anything like that right now. And so, somebody took a risk on us. Silicon and Synapse, which changed their name to Blizzard, and then the rest was kind of history.
Well, David, thank you so much for taking time out of your schedule,
Oh, yeah, my
sitting
pleasure.
down with me and talking. Yeah, this is really great.
Yeah, this was
thank
fun.
you. Thank you.
Thank you.